back. How are you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. To yourself?
Better this week.
Better.
Yeah, I felt like shit last week.
Really?
Actually, last couple of weeks I've been feeling quite shit. And then
Is it just run down or?
no, I don't think it is. I think it's hay fever, and I've never had it before, so I've just been like feeling like crap, and my skin's been like just horrendous, and I've just been like, what is wrong with me? And just been like just using moisturizer constantly to try and keep on top of it. Just feeling really groggy in the mornings, my eyes are weepy, and then all of a sudden it just dawned on me, it's like I've never really suffered with hay fever before, but I've started taking antihistamines, and now it's like, oh yeah, I feel like a million times better. So there we go.
Yep.
I guess that's what I've developed.
Like, my brother gets that. He's always had that sort of thing.
It's one of those weird things. I've never had it my entire life, really.
No, I think you just
sometimes
get it. Pick it. I think even a couple of some years I felt a bit sort of dodgy, and it's like, I don't know whether it is I don't know whether it really comes and goes or what, but it certainly seems.
I usually get like a little bit of a sore throat first thing in the morning most summers, and I always put that down to hay fever. But this is the worst. I was like, because I think it made it worse because I just didn't know what it was. I was just like, am I allergic to something? I've not like changed anything. I'm doing the same things I've always been doing. So what am I allergic to? And eventually I was like, oh, hang on a minute. Think about it. When did this start? when the weather got better. Yes, that'll do. So I think that's what it is. So feeling better this week. Feeling better.
Jolly good.
I've watched a few films this time as well. I've done good.
Sweet.
I've done good this week.
Always helpful.
Yes.
It being a movie show and all?
Yes. Well, exactly. Sometimes I'm like, I've only managed to see one, but I've seen 3 this week.
Ooh.
I'll start with one.
Me too.
Oh, good. Well, one of them you've already seen, so it's
okay.
It's that's why I'll start with this one just to get it out of the way quickly. Covered it before. You've covered it at length before. You suggested I see it because despite sitting through 4 hours of Zack Snyder's Justice League the other week, I'm not really into superheroes anymore. Certainly superhero movies don't really interest me. But you were like, yeah, you should see Shazam. I did, and I think it's really fucking charming. I think it might be the best movie DC have made in their new run of movies. I mean, not obviously, of the DC cinematic universe. I think Shazam might be the best movie they've made. It's great. It reminds me of back when we were kids, and they made movies for kids that were a bit edgy. Yeah. You know? It's kind of got that, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't treat kids like they're fucking idiots.
It's got like a Goonies feel to it, where it's like some darkness there. It's not too, like Return to Oz, maybe. It's got a bit of darkness there. Bit of darkness.
Yeah,
and
I liked it. Not quite as dark as Return to Oz, but yeah.
No kids' film is as dark as Return to Oz, but it's got that feel where it's like, it's obviously lighter hearted, but it's not pulling punches either, you know?
Yeah.
Like the car crash at the start, I was like, "Wow, that was pretty horrendous." Actually, like that was quite a
you think, bloody hell, that's a way to start your movie, isn't it? It's like, wow.
Yeah, but and I loved a lot of things that I thought were going to be awful in the opening turned out to be great. Like I was like, oh god, okay, he's from an orphanage, and it's going to be one of it's like okay, it's going to be one of these stories. But the family that adopted him were so charming. All of the kids were great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wasn't really expecting much from it. But honestly, I think
that's probably the best. That's probably the best way of going into it as well. Not expecting anything.
I've heard the same from people that watched Suicide Squad. They were like, "Oh, I heard it was awful," and then I watched it, and I thought it was okay. And it's like, I guess if you lower your expectations far enough, most things end up being pretty good.
I disagree with that one. I cannot see how anybody could enjoy that fucking movie.
Neither do I. I think it's fucking terrible. But
I think elements of it, maybe, yes. Certain characters were good.
It's not a good movie.
But apart from that, the movie itself was.
But I would say Shazam, and I guess you're always kind of biased when it's the latest of a group of films you've seen. But I found Shazam probably. I think of the DC cinematic universe, it's probably my favorite now.
Wow, cool.
Probably over Wonder Woman, which was my previous favorite of the DC universe movies. I don't know. It's really fun.
My favorite.
Oh,
I think
Wonder Woman's stunning. That first movie, I've not seen 84. I hear it's terrible, but that first Wonder Woman movie is fantastic. It's like 10 ropey minutes at the end, but apart from that, I love that movie.
The thing they do with this movie, which I think is remarkable, is that Shazam could be so goofy.
It could be so shit. That's one of the reasons I didn't watch it, because I was like, oh god.
I think in the pantheon of DC stuff, he's always been one of those sort of hard to use characters, hard to get right.
Yeah, even in the animated stuff, Shazam's come off awful in places. It just doesn't work. But I think Zachary Levi does such a good job of playing a kid.
He's brilliant.
He's
so good. Perfect. I'm a big fan of Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck was a great series. It get a bit ropey towards the end, but I still think it's a great little sort of spy series. He's basically the main reason you keep coming back, because he's so bloody charming.
Right. Well, he's amazing in this. He's charming, and he really does feel like that kid grown up, which is fantastic. Yeah. He's acting the correct age. He looks great. I also loved there was a big reference. I liked that. That made me happy.
Which one?
The big reference when he's on the human-sized piano. I'm assuming that was a big reference.
Oh yes.
I was yes, big, because it's got big vibes, right? So you're like, oh, it kind of reminds me of Big. I thought it was really fun. I mean, the kid who's his brother, as it were, he's brilliant as well. You think, oh, this could be really painful. Yes.
He's got like a
you
slightly
get the
disabled
warning, don't you?
brother.
You get the warning signs,
like,
and it's like, oh no,
he's really funny.
And I loved the youngest girl, the black girl, when she's turned into it's 2019. I'm assuming you've seen it now. I'm the last person in this party, so I'm going to talk spoilers. I love it when she becomes, because obviously she becomes a fully adult hero in the end.
Yeah.
But she's still got this child's mind, and when she's just turning around asking like really stupid, like what's a layer and stuff like that. It's fantastic, because she's like literally like 6 or 7 or something. I loved it. I thought it was really, really fun. Just as an aside, it's not a mod, it's not a new movie, but new to me.
No, I think it was a good little charming movie, and I think Aquaman was okay, but I think Shazam was better.
I enjoyed Aquaman as just like absolute schlock.
Yeah,
and it's a visual spectacle. It's like what can we do with CGI underwater? But it's a silly movie, and it takes itself a bit too seriously, which I loved as well. The post credits of Shazam when they're talking to fish, and he's just like, "That's a crap power. Like, what would you do with that?" It's like, amazing. And then as soon as it ended, Amazon suggested Aquaman for me immediately after that post credits when they were making fun of it.
Yep.
But yeah, I like Aquaman, but yeah, Shazam was just really, really charming and really fun. I'm excited if they make another one. I will probably actually see it. So.
Well, yeah, as we said, we got the cast list for that one, as we said last week, and it's got. Yeah. I mean, Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate
that's superb casting.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and Lucy Liu and is always awesome. So yeah,
absolutely.
I think that'll I'll definitely give that a go, because it's that's got a lot of love out of that. It was a really fun movie.
Yeah, definitely. So Matt, what have you been watching?
Okay, I will start with Run.
Oh, okay. What's Run?
So it's a Netflix movie. Starring Sarah Paulson and Kira Allen.
Right.
And it's directed by Anish Chaganty. Not sure whether that's previously done. Don't know any of the other movies that one's person done. But so it's basically you're introduced to. Well, first of all, you're introduced to Sarah Paulson's character, who is in labour, and she's had a little baby, and obviously there's been some sorts of complications.
Okay.
And you get a close-up of the little baby who's like struggling for life, and she sort of goes in and she says, "Is it going to be all right?" And all the doctors and nurses are very quiet. And then we cut to like 17 years later, and Sarah Paulson's in some sort of I don't think it's counselling. It's like it seems to be some sort of group for parents who homeschool their kids,
Okay.
and they're all crying because some of their kids are going to college away from them and stuff. And when they turn to Sarah Paulson, they're like, why aren't haven't you got your girls going away, or what are you, what are you okay? And she's like, no, my daughter is like incredibly clever and bright, and she's gonna go off and do the things that I never did. Why should I be sad, sort of thing?
Okay.
So then you cut to the house and you're introduced to Chloe, who is she's a paraplegic and she has asthma. She has a heart condition, and she has a number of different ailments. Actually, at the very beginning of the movie, it lists the descriptions of all these different ailments. Like asthma and this heart condition, which I forget the name of, but it was like one of those long, complicated words. There's those arrhythmia, yeah, hema something arrhythmia sort of things, and diabetes and all that, and diabetes and all that sort of stuff. So she's she's homeschooled and she's clearly very, very bright. And she's waiting for letters from a university to tell her that she's been accepted or anything. And her mum comes in from shopping and she says, no, there's no letters. She said, if the letters come, I will definitely give them to you. You need to worry. And she tests her blood, and in this house she's got everything. She's got this like hydroponics sort of garden where she's just growing all these vegetables and stuff. And she's got everything sorted, this mum. She's it's all prepared. All her medicines are all sorted and everything like that. When as you're going along, Chloe sees that one of the medicines she's taking is actually not for her. It's for her mother. It's the bottle that it comes in. It's got her mother's name on it, not hers. And she thinks that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
And she mentions it to her mother, and her mother says, "Oh no, it wasn't mine. It's actually, it's yours. It just that the receipt comes with my name on it, sort of thing." And it's like, okay, fine. So she doesn't have a mobile phone, and her access to the internet is limited.
It sounds like a good idea.
But she starts thinking, this is a bit odd. And she basically, obviously I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a incredibly tense scene where they go to the cinema and she phones someone. She's trying to phone somebody to try and get an explanation as to what this medicine is.
Right.
And I will not spoil what the medicine is or anything like that. But there is an incredibly tense moment where she goes to the cinema, and then she tells her mum she's going to the bathroom, and she leaves the cinema and goes across the street to the pharmacy. And it's so fucking tense. It is amazing. Yeah, Kira Allen is an actual wheelchair user, and she is absolutely brilliant. There are scenes later on, again, which I'm not going to spoil, where I'll just say she does a number of things that are like, fucking hell, that's like amazing. I'm really impressed with that. It's and obviously it's a movie, so it's not only a certain degree real, but it's really, really fantastic. And obviously there's something going on with her mother, and there's something going on with what's going on. And Sarah Paulson, who, she plays a lot of lunatic characters over the years. Again, she is really, really good as this incredibly overprotective mother.
Right.
And like I said, I'm not going to spoil anything, but this movie, it was really well filmed. It's pretty much a two-hander, so it's really just those two on screen for the majority of the runtime, and they are both amazing. I mean, Sarah Paulson's always pretty good, but I've never seen Kira Allen before. I think this is probably her first major role,
right?
And one
to watch.
Yeah, you're completely with her on this whole like trip, as it were, and the stuff she goes through is amazing. The suspense in this movie is so good, really, really well done. And there are some sort of questionable things in it, some slight logic leaps, but I think it's
that can
so
always be
well
forgiven
done.
if it's well
Exactly.
done. Exactly. Yeah.
It's so well done that I think you can pretty much just sort of gloss over those. As I said, it's really well directed. There are some beautiful decisions in cuts. The way that when she's asked something and then you cut to get the answer to what the answer is, and it's like, oh, that was a nice way of doing that. I really liked that. That was very clever. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. I believe it was supposed to come out last year, and I think it probably did in America, but I don't think it did over here.
Right.
So I think it was in America. I think it's on Hulu, but over here it's on Netflix. I really, really enjoyed this. It was a really well done, tense thriller. And
sounds great.
Yeah, all round good performances. Yeah, can fully endorse this one.
Sounds good to me.
Really good.
Yeah, I will have to check that one out. Well, what film do I pick next? Well, a film that well, I'm guessing you've probably watched the other two movies I have watched. So, do you have a particular order?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, we'll go with Stowaway. Have you seen Stowaway?
I have not.
Oh, you haven't seen Stowaway? Shit.
No, I have not. But I do know the whole story. I know how it ends, and I know the story it was based on.
The Cold Equations, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've seen the Cold Equation I think it was on an Outer Limits episode.
That's Twilight Zone, I think.
Was it Twilight Zone? Was it?
I think it's been adapted like countless
a number of times,
to be honest.
Yeah.
So yes, it is based on the Cold Equations, although they don't seem to say that anywhere in the credits or anything.
Oh, really?
From what I've seen, no. Unless I missed it. I was like, it's clearly based on the Cold Equations from what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
So yeah, based on the Cold Equations, directed by Joe Penna, starring Anna Kendrick, Daniel Day Kim, who is in
Johnny Gat.
Yes, Crusade and a few other things.
I love Johnny Gat.
Shamia Anderson and maybe the best living actress today, Toni Collette.
The great Toni Collette.
So
always overlooked Toni Collette, which really pisses me off.
How
she never got awards for Hereditary, I do not fucking know.
Hereditary is her, for me, the defining performance of hers, and it is one of the best performances I've ever seen given on screen. The scene where the scene after her daughter dies is one of the most shockingly realistic reactions when you just hear her cries.
Yep.
It's fucking horrible. It's so good it's horrible. I don't know if she's lost like a daughter or something, because
I have no idea.
She was I
hope
God,
not, but,
I hope not,
yeah.
but God, she was incredible in Hereditary. And she's good in everything. Like that's she's just great.
Absolutely.
So it follows the basic premise of the Cold Equations. The Cold Equations, the book or the short story,
short story,
was effectively a woman stowing away aboard a spaceship, and then obviously they run into complications because it's only designed for one person, I think, in the short story.
It's
a similar thing here.
It's one person, and it's only enough fuel to get there.
And the person's going to. I think is a plague, isn't it? They're gonna
yeah,
they're
he's taking vaccines, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah. So in this one, they've changed it somewhat. There's it's a 3-person mission, but a technician injures himself and is knocked out, and isn't discovered until they're out of orbit. They've left orbit, and then he's discovered on board. I know there's always been that argument with the cold equations. I hate the argument personally. I think the cold equations works really well as it is.
Stupid argument.
Well,
yeah.
I think so.
It's an argument of people that don't want realism. Or
or they're adding too much realism.
The nature of the universe.
Yes, well, that's the point.
It's people who want a nice ending to everything.
Yes.
Is the argument for that film, for that story.
Yeah, they want a nice ending when the whole point of the movie is that the universe is cold, and you know that's that. Yeah, I know there's arguments of like
misogynistic. It's like it's not misogynistic. It's just
it's not misogynistic, and it doesn't. You can apply that logic and ruin every story ever made.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah,
you can.
exactly.
I messaged a friend this morning and I was like, well, you could apply that logic to any film. Like, let's pick a film. Let's pick The Thing. Why didn't they have a contingency for everyone dying of cold? Why didn't they have a contingency for aliens coming to Earth? You know, like Jaws. Why didn't they have contingency for sharks? Then you know, you can do it to anything and it will ruin anything. And yes, of course, there are probably redundancies and stuff in spaceships that will stop this kind of thing from happening. But in this universe, in the universe of the book, there were not. And that's the situation we find ourselves in. And it's a really interesting short story as a result. This film actually does do a little more, I think, to justify it anyway. During launch, they discover that something's wrong with the oxygen, but they've got enough, and they're like, okay, well, we've got enough. And then, of course, they find the extra person. It's also stated during this film that the ship they're on was originally designed for 2 people, and they've retrofitted it for 3. So it's like, that makes it even worse. Yeah, like it works, but it's kind of they've cut corners a little here, and really, it was only really designed for 2. They've made it for 3 now, but it's literally just enough. And plus, with what happened during launch, we've got real problems now with this 4th person. And it's really well acted, really well directed. I thought there were some really nice things. You never hear anyone on Earth. You never hear from Mission Control. Okay. You never hear from any of the family.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
So what they do is it starts off during launch. Like, it starts off with Toni Collette launching. And you just see it from their perspective. So whenever they talk to Mission Control, it's a one-sided conversation. You don't hear what Mission Control are saying back. You just hear what Toni Collette's saying to them. And similarly, when someone's calling home, you just hear their side of the conversation. You don't hear what they're saying back, and it kind of adds to the isolation, I think, and it works really nicely. It's quite a nice touch, I thought. And obviously, Toni Collette is just fantastic. So when she's having these one-sided conversations, it's just amazing.
She's very good at face acting, so
she's so good, yeah. And she does have out and out rows with Mission Control. You just don't hear what Mission Control are saying because it's just in her earpiece and it's just her saying.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. So when they find the guy, they nurse him back to health because he's been injured, obviously. And then he does actually become a member of the crew. And he starts helping them with basic tasks because obviously he's not a scientist. He can't do a lot of what they do, but he does a lot more than the kind of admin, menial kind of tasks he's doing for them. Until they discover that basically there's no way around it. They're kind of screwed. And I actually messaged my friend yesterday and I was like, this film seems to be based on the cold equations and it's doing a really good job. And it just as I said that, there's a moment in the film, which I won't spoil, but there's a moment in the film where it looks like they might just save everyone, and I was like, if they do this, they have ruined this film. I said to my friend, I was like, hang on a minute, because this could go downhill. Fortunately, it doesn't. It does have a different ending to the book. It changes things from the short story. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it was a really enjoyable, well-acted, well-filmed movie. I really enjoyed it. So, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Well, from what I gather about the ending, it sounds like the wrong decision was made. But that's
the wrong decision in terms of you think it shouldn't have gone the way it went, or they made the wrong decision. That wasn't sure if you meant the characters made the wrong decision.
The characters made the wrong decision.
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you meant the writers made the wrong decision or the characters made the wrong decision. No. The characters, so they try something.
I do know what the end is. So sure. I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but
No. And it's a fine ending. I think it still works. And
Hmm.
I really enjoyed it. Really good fun. So I
that's cool.
highly recommend Stowaway.
Sweet.
What else have you watched? Because there must be something that I haven't watched
So,
here.
I watched a film called Portal.
Okay. I haven't
Now,
heard of that one either.
it's called Portal over here, but everywhere else it's called Durs. I have no idea why.
Okay. Similar things, those two words. Yeah.
Yes. So, it's directed by 4 people, I believe. Sam Koresh, Jeff Dennison, it's Sam Koresh again, and Dugan O'Neill.
Okay.
So it's I wouldn't say it's exactly an anthology, but it's basically 4 stories about one event.
Okay, so it's one event from different perspectives.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happens is at the very beginning, you get sort of phone calls and things to the police saying, my husband won't talk to me. He's just staring out and like he's being weird. And somebody else says, my wife's just walked into the forest for some reason. She just won't come back.
Okay.
And there are these, somebody says, I don't know what's going on, but you better come and have a look at this. And what happens is these doors, basically, they're, the funny is the effect is literally, it's, that, you've seen iron filings on a piece of paper with magnet underneath it, yeah?
Yeah.
So what these giant sort of like, not exactly monoliths, but that kind of thing, with that effect on it, have appeared all over the world.
Okay.
And people have started disappearing into them.
Mm-hmm.
And when some of the people have come back, they've been mad or different.
So
or
they've come back
very odd.
Changed. Yeah.
They've come back changed, and most people just
this
haven't
sounds
come
really
back.
familiar to another movie that I can't place right now. But yeah.
Yeah, it's
I mean, it's things have been done.
It's
like
got a
this
similar
before,
premise. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I really like the trailer, so I thought, why the hell not? I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
So the first segment starts off in, I think it's it's detention. So you've got 4 characters, four kids who I think are in detention, and their teacher sort of confiscates their phones and says, you've got to get on with your work or whatever it is. And while this is happening, he gets this phone call, and he's talking to the phone. He looks very, very worried, and all their phones are going off in this cupboard. And then you hear helicopters and jets going around, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? So the teacher says to one of the students, "You're in charge. I've got to go and sort something."
Yeah.
And he leaves, and then over the tannoy they say, due to an event, we're going into lockdown, so the doors lock. And they're like, okay, they break their phones out, and they've got all these missed calls from parents and things. And they find a radio's like getting weird signals from it. And one of the students, Ash, I've got to say they because they do not identify as a girl. They start hearing a voice.
Okay.
Now the voice, you don't exactly hear the voice. It comes up on the screen in text.
Okay. Cool.
And they break out of the room and they go into the corridor. And one side of this corridor is completely filled with this portal, basically.
Yeah.
And they're all stood around, and I won't say what happened, but
to be continued.
Obviously, something happens, and then it goes into the next segment, and the next segment is a couple of weeks later, and they've got this new group of they've organized this new group of people who they're calling knockers. They're like volunteers.
Oh God!
And
how much are they getting paid?
Yeah, exactly. And you're introduced to these 3 characters who are about to go in through these portals, and they're told they've got 12 minutes to go in and get out before psychosis hits them, and one of them says, "What happened to 15 minutes?" And he said, "Well, the other team went in for 15 minutes. They didn't come back."
Work.
And you're like, "Okay,
yep,
so
sure.
12 minutes is the sweet spot, is it? Okay, right, fine.
Can't
we'll just go in then.
Send a drone in instead, please?"
Yeah, well, I guess I would presume they did.
Yeah, I'm assuming that probably all electronic things fail when they go through. Or
yeah,
something. Yeah. That's
so
fair enough.
They go through and they end up in this. They immediately do the thing that you don't do in a fucking movie. There are 3 doors. Oh, okay, we can cover more ground if we split up.
Of course.
No, don't fucking split up, you lunatics. What you're supposed to be mad when you come out, not going in.
Yeah. Maybe if we go in mad, we'll come out sane.
Exactly, yeah. So they basically split off, and they're basically in the same house that they were in, but sort of the colour's been bleached out, and one of them meets this girl lying on a bed who says her name is Rose, and another one seems to have this encounter with another member of the team, but he's calling her Honey, and they've got kids, sort of thing, and the other one is going through these rooms that are the same but different, sort of. Each room seems to be another moment in time from the same room, like a kid's bedroom, and then it's like maybe an older kid, and then it's an adult, and then it's that sort of thing. But each time there's a bust on the sort of one of the sides, and in each room it's slightly altered until it's almost completely unrecognizable. And there is this bit just before that, actually, I forgot to mention, the woman that goes in, she's having this sort of before they go in, she's having this weird conversation with herself, it seems, about not wanting to be a rock, wanting to be a wave.
Okay.
And the sound keeps cutting out. Now, I think a lot of people have heard that and think that it was bad sounding. Like they were out in the middle of nowhere and they had a sound mic, like, not cutting out the ocean. I think it was intentional.
I'm sure it was intentional.
So,
it's not Mortal Kombat, for God's sake.
I've not seen it, so I don't know that one.
Have you not seen Mortal Kombat?
I have not seen Mortal Kombat.
That was going to be
no, because
I thought you definitely had seen that one.
No, because it wasn't available to. So and I wanted to pay for it, so I was going to wait till next weekend. So yeah, so there's sort of weird conversations, and again, I will not spoil that one, so I'll go to the next one. And the next story is you have this character called, I think his name is Leonard. Is it Leonard? I can't find it now. No, not Leonard, Jamal, I think. Anyway, he's this character who seems to be a disgraced scientist, and most people, when they see these portals, they report it to the government, and they get this portal people turn up, it gets quarantined. He hasn't. He's been hiding it, and he's set up this big system, and he's talking to it, and it's talking back. And then he calls a fellow scientist, and she turns up with her boyfriend, who's a complete dick. And she's obviously like, she's, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And the boyfriend is like, you're an asshole. Rah, 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 you should be doing this. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, kid. He was blatantly brought in just to be a complete dick.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but it then goes to the last section, which is like a web call between this talk show host sort of thing and this, I think he's a scientist as well. I can't quite remember, or some sort of writer. And I'm not even going to bother explaining that part. So this movie has a really, really bad rating on IMDb.
IMDb.
On IMDb, it's got really, really bad reviews. A lot of the reviews, like single-star reviews, is like, okay, this is not a single-star movie in any shape or form. What it is an incredibly weird sci-fi story that has potential and could have been better. But they clearly had no budget for this movie. It's obviously a very low budget
Yeah,
movie. I think for the majority, the acting performances are okay. They're pretty good. There are some performances that are clearly better than others. I mean, I don't know any of the actors that are in this. I've not seen it. I don't think I've seen any of them before. Um, but it's an interesting idea that you just have to sort of go with and accept that it's a very sort of not I don't want to say Cronenberg because it's not that sort of weird, but it's just a very odd sci-fi story, and um, I think people seem to be expecting too much of it,
sure.
and it's too weird for people,
Hmm.
and I can see that, and it is very weird, and but I think it was well done for what it is. It's not a great movie by any form, but what I do think is if you want to see something that is a bit weird and very sci-fi and quite different from everything that's around right
Sure.
now,
Yeah.
and as long as you're prepared for the fact that it's quite a cheap movie and um, it might not go where you think it's going to go, I would give it a go.
Mm.
I thought it was it kept me. It didn't bore me at all. I found it really interesting. It doesn't give you proper answers, which I quite liked.
Mm.
It's not telling you how to go with this movie at all. I think some sections are better than others. The second section seems to get some hate, and I think the second section I really, really liked. The third one seems to get the most attention, which I think is one of the shorter sections.
Hmm.
But I think they all work quite well within their own little context.
Hmm.
I think there are some sort of agenda moments, maybe, but I don't think they're rammed down your face to the point that that's all this movie's about. It's not. It just so happened that it's in the first section. I think that when Ash says one of the characters says, "Oh, when she does this," and she says, "I'm not a she." Sorry, they say, "I'm not a she." I think a lot of people are like, it does make you go, "Oh, okay," but it's not It's not about that. It's not. It's not. They're not trying to. I don't think they're trying to push agendas. But it can
No,
definitely
and a character correcting another character isn't necessarily anything more than that, is it? They're just,
That's exactly it. I don't think it doesn't hinge on those things,
No.
and it's not trying to push it down your face. It just so happens that character is that
Yeah,
way.
yeah, which is great. I mean, we've always said that's the way to cast in movies or create characters.
Yeah.
They just are. That's what we are, and that's fine.
There's a non-binary character in the OC, which they don't
talk to
fuck
me.
about. I know,
don't talk to me about that.
I think it's
the
an
OA,
example of a nine. Yeah, sorry, yes, I always get that. I always
the OC is
that
fucking awful.
Not the OC, the OA. Yeah.
And don't talk to me about the OA because it makes me sad. I don't like talking about the OA because it's bloody cancelled.
I know, but it's a good example of a non-binary character done
absolutely.
well. I think
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, watch if you don't mind being heartbroken at the end of season 2 because there's no season 3. Watch the OA. It's fantastic.
It's awesome. And I always get every time I talk about, I'm going to get this wrong as well. Glow.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to say Glee instead.
Oh dear.
It never gets like, have you seen Glee? It's great. And they're like, why are you talking about Glee? It's like, oh no, not Glee. Glow. But yeah. So no, the OA. But yeah, I think Doors or Portal, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
If you're willing to just give a little weird, it doesn't. I don't think it overstays its welcome. It's not a massively long. I think it's only about an hour and a half. And it is. It's an hour and 24 minutes. It's nice. I actually quite enjoyed it. It's like I said, it's not great. It's not groundbreaking or anything. But I think if you want to see something a little interesting and a little different, give it a go. It's all right. It's not a bad little sci-fi movie.
Yeah, sounds good. I like weird and I like low budget, so I'm down with it. I'll give it a go. So I got this message yesterday. In fact, we've got this message twice now. We got one for Kelly's Roadhouse and now one on Durs Productions' main Instagram page, and I'll read it out.
Okay.
because it says, and this is genuine, by the way, because we checked, because we were like, this can't be a real company. It is a real company.
Right.
So the message reads, "Hello, I work with Smooth My Balls. They are looking for podcasters and content creators to work with them. They will send you out a review unit and give you a special code to share on social media where you will earn commission every time your code is used. Please message Smooth My Balls as soon as possible to get started." And Smooth My Balls do exactly what you think they do. They produce razors and products for your balls. And they've asked Kelly's Roadhouse and now Durs Productions to be a sponsor, which obviously we're not going to fucking do. But
I was just going to say, okay,
no, fuck no.
We going to?
Fuck no, we're not going to do that.
I was about to have a heart attack.
No, God no, we're not going to do that. But what I will do is I will say that if they want, for free, Mortal Kombat can be sponsored by Smooth My Balls, because Mortal Kombat is balls. But I kind of enjoyed bits of it. It's like, I enjoyed some of it. But it is...
Is that your review? Exactly. Is that your review?
Balls. No, so, Mortal Kombat, directed by Simon McQuaid? McQuaid? Go McQuaid. Is based on the massively popular video game series. Obviously, we had Mortal Kombat the movie in the 90s. And Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the way worse sequel in the 90s. Yeah. And now we have this.
I think we have to say, the first one, I have a lot of love for that first one.
So do I. Despite how bad it is, I agree. I'm the same.
But I've got a lot of love for it.
Bloody awful, but I love it. And I love... I don't know why, because it's so against the character... But I even love Christopher Lambert as Raiden.
Yeah.
I just love his attitude and the way he behaves the whole way through. It's just really fun.
I was always really disappointed when he wasn't in the second one. It's like, oh, they've recast him.
I didn't watch Annihilation for years because they recast him. I was like, nah, he was like the best part of Mortal Kombat, even though he was like nothing like Raiden.
He's completely having a ball in that movie.
Yeah, he's just having great fun. So along comes this remake, and the trailer, I think, blew all of us away. We were like, "Oh my god, this trailer looks incredible!"
And I liked the scene that they released last week. I thought it did make me worry.
In what way?
It was like, well, when a company does that, it means one of two things: either they have massive confidence and they're just trying to get a few more people in, or they're a bit worried.
Yeah. So what scene did they release?
It was the beginning with I presume the beginning.
The initial fight with Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, that is very strong. The opening to this movie, extremely strong for the most part. Bit of a logic gap in there somewhere, but it's fine. It's really good. And really, like, that's always for me been the most interesting part of the Mortal Kombat mythos is the clans, the two clans,
the rivalry between
the rival clans. In this one, I think they've made one clan Chinese, one clan Japanese. I think historically they've both been Japanese and sometimes not. I think they've mixed it up, and throughout the games.
I certainly remembered them being both Japanese, but. I don't think it really matters.
No, it makes no difference. It was just purely because I noticed that in the movie that's a bit of a change. It doesn't bother me at all.
They seem to have changed things from game to game anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So it has a very strong opening with that, and I will say the fight scenes for the most part are really, really good. They look great, as you've seen in the trailer. They look fantastic. But I mean, you don't expect much story, right? Obviously, you don't expect much story from a film called Mortal Kombat. But I would like a Mortal Kombat tournament to take place in the movie. That would be nice.
I did hear someone talk about it, and they did say there is no Mortal Kombat in it. It's no. You mean there's no tournament in a Mortal Kombat movie? That doesn't make sense.
There is going to be a Mortal Kombat tournament, but Shao Kahn...
Oh god, is this just the setup for another movie?
I think it is. Right,
no.
So what happens? I won't. I'll try not to spoil much, but so basically, Mortal Kombat is gonna happen. The tournament's gonna happen, but Shao Kahn's like, "Fuck that! Let's just go and kill all of the fighters on Earth before the tournament starts, and then we win the tournament by default." I'm like, okay, mate. So they do. They go out and they start trying to do that, and they send Sub-Zero, who is massively overpowered in this film. He's like godlike levels of power, which is fine.
Yeah.
And he's their like elite assassin for Outworld, and he's going around killing anyone with the mark. You might remember from the trailer that really awkward line of like, it's a birthmark. He's had it since birth.
It's a birthmark. He's had it since birth. Yes.
So yeah, they have this birthmark, and basically Sub-Zero's going around killing anyone with the mark.
Right. Okay.
So effectively, the group, the individual people with the mark are brought together eventually to Raiden, Lord Raiden, who's living in the desert. He's got like a temple in the desert or whatever, and they find him, and basically he kind of shields them with his powers while they train. But you know, immediately you have this problem where it's like, well, the rules are. The rules are supposedly that a tournament takes place on Earth or in Outworld or wherever, between humanity and Outworld or the other realms, and whoever wins, if Earth wins, then the enemies of
everybody
Outworld
has to fuck off,
right? And if they win so many in a row, they can come through, right? Fine.
Yeah.
So apparently it says nothing in the rules about cheating and trying to kill people beforehand. I guess that's fine, but then you've got Raiden.
I would have said the thing of like, I would have said Shang Tsung was a bit of a cheater and a bit of
Shang Tsung. Sorry, you're right. Shang Tsung
was a bit of a cheater and a bit of an asshole. Or he's proper villain.
Of course,
but I wouldn't imagine he would result to killing the combatants before they've done the tournament.
Well, in the first game is his fucking tournament. So,
yeah,
you know. But anyway, so we've then got this issue where Raiden later on they all turn up and you know, Liu Kang and whatnot are like, just fuck him up, Raiden. And Raiden's like, oh no, I can't interfere because I'm bound by my honor. I can't interfere in Mortal Kombat, so I have to leave it down to you guys. And I'm like, they've already cheated. They're literally trying to kill them. Like, why are you now going like, no, I'm not going to get involved because like that's the rules. It's like, well, they've broken all the rules. They're going around trying to literally assassinate all of them. But so they eventually all come together, and the ultimately they decide, we're gonna bring the tournament to them. So somehow they all get to have their fight on Earth, not in the tournament, in individual places. So you get wonderful action scenes like, let's have a fight in a barn on a farm.
Okay.
This such fucking excitement. You know, let's see Goro have a fight with no-named twat Cole, who we'll get to in a minute, in a barn, because that's what we've always wanted to see. And yeah, so it's just, I really wanted to see a Mortal Kombat tournament. Why didn't you just have the bloody tournament like we did in the original movie and the game? Have the tournament. You've got the fighting. Looks great. The action looks great. I
guess they really wanted to do something different.
Yeah, they did, but it's for me, it was not what I wanted, and it just added so many issues. There are definitely some positives. The movie is the action scenes are great. It's gory. It's got the gore, and it's got a lot of the moves you see from Mortal Kombat. So that's great. We've got that. That's great. The single biggest problem with this movie is Lewis Tan, who's playing Cole, this new guy, who has no reason for being in this film whatsoever, has no personality whatsoever, is dull as fuck, and you just I literally didn't care about him at all.
Well, the impression I got was that he's a descendant of
Scorpion.
Scorpion?
Yes,
is that right?
That is right.
Yeah.
but they may as well have not bothered with that and just had Scorpion turn up at the end anyway, because that's effectively what he does. So, yes, he's just a no-name character, and he gets his powers. So the idea is that they get their powers through intense stress, or like in a fight, their powers will manifest, and then they gain their powers.
Right.
And his powers don't come for ages, and he's really struggling. So then Raiden's like, go see your family. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And he sends Cole off to go see his family, even though we know there are supernatural assassins looking to kill everyone with the mark who's not under Raiden's protection. But they're like, yeah, go for it.
Right.
Go see how that works out for you. Maybe it was all part of the plan. I don't know.
I was going to say, maybe that was the idea.
I'm not sure that having him fight Goro was while Goro's threatening his family was the best test of maybe.
Goro should be a later boss. He's like OP as fuck.
Well, hopefully they can resurrect him later, because he's dead outside of a fucking barn in Texas or something. So that's good. No, I'm sure they'll resurrect him anyway. Of course they'll resurrect him. So there are good moments in this movie, I'm not going to lie. I mean, the fight scene at the end is great.
Okay.
Great. It's Hiroku Sanada. We know it's going to be, the fight is amazing. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
There are some really good fights. You get to see the moves of the characters. That's all great. I think they would have been much better off just doing the story of Mortal Kombat, going to the island. I'm guessing we'll get that. That will just be the next movie, and I will watch the next movie because I think there is promise here for sure. If they make another one,
well, that's at least something. At least it didn't. At least it didn't make you go, "Fuck that! I'm not going to bother with the next."
No, it didn't. No. Like I said, I think this movie was rubbish, but I did enjoy it.
That's good. That's actually not. That's because I was beginning to go off the idea of watching it.
No. I still think it's worth watching. There are some great fights, and I think the guy, I forget his name, the guy who plays Kano, steals the entire movie. He is hilarious, and he quite often just says the things you're thinking at the time as well, which is kind of bad for a character to do, but I enjoyed it. It's
Josh Lawson.
Yeah,
apparently.
So he is fantastic. Kano is incredible in this movie. There are some really weird editing issues.
Okay.
Like I said, so they add for Shang Tsung, they add a voice effect over his voice every time he talks. And in one scene, they just forgot to add it. And he just sounds normal for a scene. And it's like, okay, that was weird. And then it turns back up again. The next scene is like, oh, you just missed that in editing, did you? That's
he obviously coughed.
Yeah, he coughed or something. Yeah. They did, like I said, it's not awful. It's certainly not good. It's not well written. But you get your fights and whatever. And I think a sequel could do well. This one had so much promise.
So far, it's done ridiculously well, hasn't it? So
well,
I think
because hopefully we'll get a sequel that solves the problems. And I think get rid of Lewis Tan and the character of Cole, because it was pointless.
Oh dear!
Just drop it.
Does Johnny Cage turn up?
No, but he is. So in this movie, there are a lot of Easter eggs for characters that aren't in the movie. His is right at the end. So Cole says, I'm going to Hollywood to meet some guy, and then there's a poster, and you're like, okay, cool. So
I saw this thing about Johnny Cage and how Johnny Cage is so many people's favorite character, and the idea of not using Johnny Cage is absolutely ridiculous. And I do find it weird that they just chose to make a new character.
I find it odd that they just didn't use the characters from the first game. And because Reptile's in this and a few others, and you're like, why are they you could have just left them for the sequels and focused on the characters from the first game, and just really kind of followed them and built them up. Instead, we're following Cole around, who, like I said, his introduction, he loses his MMA fight that he's in to start with. He kind of can't, he's got heart, but he can't really fight very well. And he turns out to be literally no one. He's not a character.
So basically, he's supposed to be our everyman character. He's supposed to be us then. Is that the point?
Kind of. He ends up getting some special armor power. later in the movie when his powers, take form or whatever.
Effect,
take effect, yeah. But he's like a nobody. Doesn't really. I don't know why he's in this movie. Really, you could have made anyone the everyman, couldn't you? Really, I mean, Sonya could have been the everyman. She's like.
I mean, why not use Sonya? Sonya would be a good point of view character because she's of the starting characters, she's probably the most normal.
Well, and in this movie, she's completely normal. She doesn't have the mark. She's just a human. She's a regular human. But the idea is that if you kill someone with the mark, you can inherit the mark. So she ends up becoming, but to begin with, she's not.
One.
Yeah, effectively. So if you kill someone with the mark, then you inherit that mark, and then you can go on to gain the power and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of a Highlandery thing going on. So they could have done it with her. It just felt really weird to decide to introduce this new character, like there weren't enough characters in Mortal Kombat already.
Yeah. I was gonna say that does seem, and even that's another weird thing is that these days there are so many fucking characters in Mortal Kombat and so many add-ons that they've added. I mean, like weird things have turned up in Mortal Kombat, like fucking Freddy and the Terminator Spawn and all sorts
or something. I mean, actually, Spawn turned up in Soul Calibur, wasn't it? Not
right.
Yeah.
But it's so the idea of making a new character does seem a little fucking weird.
It does seem. It does seem weird, and especially when he's got no charisma and he's just so unlikable. I just didn't at any point did I feel like,
because I think one of the rumors was that he was probably going to turn out to be Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage. That
I
he
thought
just
he
hadn't
might
become Johnny Cage yet, sort of thing.
I thought he might turn out to be Scorpion. Like, he's inherited Scorpion's
like a new
blood
version,
and he becomes a new version, and that would have been kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But no, he's just his own character. It's like, okay, fair enough, mate.
Okay.
So
righto then.
Yeah, righto. The casting for the most part's great. I actually thought all the characters played the characters that are meant to be in Mortal Kombat are played fine. Liked the cast. Thought the guy who played Liu Kang was great. Kung Lao's great. Jax again is great. Obviously, he ends up with like baby arms for a while, baby robot arms that are kind of useless until he gets his power, and then his power magically creates better arms.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you've seen the scene where his arms get frozen and all that.
Yeah, that was a really cool scene.
It's really cool. That's what I mean. There are some really cool scenes, and some of the cinematography is great. But there's just this whole bit of, like I said, I wanted the tournament, which we don't get. It's kind of weird. And there's this whole bit in the middle where they're just like, yay, you're in Raiden's protective bubble, and now you're going to learn how to get your powers. But we'll send you away, Cole, because you're miserable. We'll just send you outside of the protective bubble. Oh God, I forgot as well. Sorry, I watched this last weekend.
Right.
Whoever they've got to play Cable is insufferable.
Oh really?
Every time he speaks, I was just like, oh my God, it's terrible. But yeah, it's not all bad. This has been a really rambling review. Sorry, just realised I just rambled on.
It looks like the guy who played Kano, Daniel Nelson. Looks like he's a stuntman.
Right. Okay. Well, whoever. He looks the part.
He did
they all look
stunts
the
in
part.
Godzilla vs Kong, apparently.
Well, he looks the part. Is whoever's doing the voice. I don't know if maybe he also did the voice. That might explain it, because he's not really an actor as much as he is a stunt actor. I think it's still worth a watch. I was entertained. It has some great fight scenes. It's got a lot of the fatalities and stuff, and a lot of those moves that you want to see. So it's got that.
Yeah.
I was just very disappointed from what the trailer promised. It's like, oh, we were finally going to get a tournament, and it was going to we wanted.
Next, I'll watch it for the next.
Let's see. Let's see what you make of it, because you may.
And by then we can spoil it as well.
Yes, let's do that.
To be honest, it sounds like it doesn't. There's nothing to spoil, but
not really. You can probably guess how this movie's going to go once you realise there's no tournament. But but it's not terrible. It's certainly worth a watch. I still feel like, maybe controversially, I still prefer the first movie, to be honest.
Oh, I mean, the thing is I love why it's got so many things. I mean, like you said, Raiden is just having an absolute ball. Kerry Hiroyuki Tagawa as Shang Tsung is just
perfect.
chewing the scenery and absolutely enjoying himself to the max in that movie. So there's a lot to love in that film, even though it's
awful. It's an
very
awful film. But this is an awful film. I enjoyed both, but I prefer the 90s one, if I'm honest. Because we got the tournament and all that,
That is interesting.
But you may feel completely differently, so I'm really interested to see what you think. And like you said, next week we can spoil it. I might watch it again before then, so that we can properly dissect it if we want to. But yeah, it's still worth a watch. It's just not everything we were hoping for from that trailer. The plot falls flat on its face, I think, and the lead is awful in my opinion, which is the main problem.
See, that's not good. If your lead, if you do not give a shit about the lead, that's not helpful.
It's not, but you keep watching anyway because you're like, but there are all these Mortal Kombat.
You want to see
characters.
Everybody else.
Yeah, it's like I want to see the characters, but
that's good. At least it kept you, at least with it.
Yeah, it just felt like a pointless character to add and a pointless story to follow him. And also Sub-Zero is like the worst at his job. He does kill people, so I guess there's that. But he's an assassin, and every time he's anywhere close, there's like snow and it gets really cold everywhere. And they're like, it's fucking July. I think Sub-Zero might be here, guys.
Yeah, I mean that would kind of be the downfall of having him as an actual wandering around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It's not like he can switch it off, right?
But I guess not. I don't know. But yeah, it's certainly got its pluses, and the fight scenes and the gore is definitely good. If we could have the fight scenes and the gore from this movie and the 95 movie, we'd probably be onto something. But never mind. We'll see next week once you've had a chance to see it. We'll come back to it. So, what else have you watched? I think there was another movie on your list.
There is. Yep. So I wanted a little sort of palate cleanser. I wanted something a little bit something a little funny. So I gave Chick Fight a go.
Oh, do you know, I saw that and I was like, that's either horribly out of touch or it's going to be quite a funny movie, based purely on the name. I was like,
yeah.
So which is it?
So Chick Fight is it's directed by Paul Leyden. It stars Maylee Ackerman, Bella Thorne, Dulcie Sloan, and Kevin Conley, and we've also got Alec Baldwin.
Excellent.
Playing Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what Alec Baldwin does.
So basically, you're introduced to Anne, Maylee Ackerman's character, who is this. She owns a cafe, and her life is just shit. It's falling apart. Her car gets towed. She's losing her job. She's getting evicted from her apartment, and she's just genuinely having a shit time.
Right.
And her best friend Charlene, played by Dulcie Sloan, is she's the complete cliche black character. She's this overweight copper who steals drugs from the evidence room, and she's that. Yeah, she's that sort of best friend. She basically says, "Okay, I need to take you somewhere," and she takes her to this fight club, which is supposedly a safe space for women to let out their aggression and to get over their issues and all that sort of stuff. And she absolutely sucks at it. Her first match, she's up against, I think it's a librarian, which there was quite a funny moment where the friend said, she's a school librarian. I mean, how is that even still a job? It's like, don't they have the internet anymore? Sort of thing. And I did think that was quite funny. So she is awful at it. She gets choked out. And even to the point where she has no idea what tapping out is.
Okay, I'm pretty sure they'd explain the basic rules to you before you got in one of these fights.
You would have thought so, wouldn't you? So she's then told, she wants to do a bit better, so she's told to go and see this guy,
who will train
Murphy.
you to fight.
Okay. Murphy, who's Alec Baldwin's character, who's this ridiculously over the top drunk, who's
ridiculously over the top Alec Baldwin.
Yes, exactly. Who you first encounter lip syncing badly to a song while he's completely hammered, and people are shouting at him and throwing money at him, and he's falling into tables and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he apparently trained Sugar Ray.
Okay.
Which immediately I was like, okay, but which Sugar Ray?
Yeah.
And obviously that is a joke.
Yeah, of course.
Comes up later on. So then he sort of trains her very badly, and she gets better. And there's, Bella. You've got Bella Thorne, who's on bad guy duties here. She's a young up and coming fighter who's like ridiculously OP, and she wants to bring in new people here that aren't about feelings and safe spaces, and she wants to make it a proper fight club sort of thing.
Okay.
So, right, I did laugh.
Mm-hmm.
There are some genuinely funny moments in it.
That's good.
Yes, no. There are some genuinely quite. Once you get over the fact that a lot of the characters are ridiculously cliche stereotypes, they are quite funny. They have their funny moments. Maylin Eckerman, I usually find quite charming anyway. She is actually she's charming enough to make you stay with it, I think. Well, she certainly was charming enough to make me stay with it. My main problem with this movie, apart from the fact that it's terribly written and most of the characters are like terrible cliches.
Horrible stereotypes, yeah.
The fighting is terrible.
See, now at least Mortal Kombat got that down.
Yeah.
At least they had competent fights in a fight movie.
It's all shaky cam close-ups.
No.
And people waiting to get hit.
Is it an age gap thing?
Real slow motion stuff, like when people get hit and they fall down, it's all in slow motion. It's like, for fuck's sake.
I mean, is the shaky cam thing a generational thing? Because
I don't know.
Do younger people like that? Because for me, I want to see the fight. I want to see the scene.
The thing is, it's not a new thing. There was a vampire movie that the name escapes me right now. And it was one of the first movies. I think it was sort of like early to mid 90s.
Okay.
And the fight scenes in it were really, really shaky cam stuff.
Yeah.
But I think at the time it's like, wow, this is interesting and quite new.
It feels very real and gritty when you do it. Obviously, Saving Private Ryan, it works great. That's appropriate. But usually it's
going on.
Yeah, and usually it's like
in most cases, shaky cam is used to hide
exactly.
things.
It's like, we're making Taken 3, but Liam Neeson can't even walk anymore, so let's just shake the camera while he messes around with a knife or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that name. I think it was Don Wilson was in it.
Okay, no, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Because it's strange. There seems to have been a bit of pushback on the shaky cam lately, but then there's still a few movies that decide to go that way. Because
it's bloody awful.
It is awful. I really hate it. I rewatched the Bourne movies a couple of months back, and God, that's aged horribly now. Those shaky cam scenes. You're like, oh my God, this is it's dating it like so badly in the early 2000s. And it just looks awful. It looks awful.
Night Hunter. That's the movie. It came out in 96. Night Hunter with Don the Dragon Wilson.
That's one hell of a name for a movie.
He plays a sort of a vampire hunter in it, and I remember it really fondly. I haven't seen it for a number of years. It's probably fucking awful, but it does have
see it though, based purely on the name.
It does have Maria Ford in it, which is always a bonus. I bloody love Maria Ford. So yeah, I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, this is interesting and sort of kind of new. And I think if I probably watched it again, it would be fucking annoying and awful.
Yeah.
In this case, it's definitely one of those. It's there to hide the fact that
the fact
these
that no one
aren't.
could fight. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Bella Thorne is. She's got this long black hair that seems to be in her face all the time, and it's like
Let's
that's
cover up the fact that
clearly
it's a stunt double.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that's clearly. And the annoying thing is that there's a nice idea here.
I thought that fighters traditionally tied their hair back.
Yeah, they
just
usually
throwing
do.
that out there.
Because having
because inhaling
I've
your
done-
own hair while you're trying to fight
Exactly.
is a really bad idea.
I've done a bit of karate, and when I used to do
Yeah,
karate,
I
I
did
used
as
to
well,
have long
yeah.
hair,
Yeah,
and
you
I
tied
used
it
to.
back.
I used to wear a bandana because it was
Mhm.
the easiest way to keep your hair out your face.
Absolutely.
The last thing you want to be is eating your own hair while
No.
you're trying to fucking fight someone.
Yeah, exactly.
But
But it does quite easily allow you to insert a stunt double into a scene. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Like in Picard when those Romulans turn up and put a bag over her head for no reason whatsoever. It's like, oh yeah, I wonder if that's just so they could get a stunt double to do all these backflips now.
Yeah.
It saves you doing the CGI face, doesn't it?
Oh man, I mean, I mentioned the.
Anyway, I'm
DOA,
sorry
but
for bringing that up.
you mentioned Picard. I mean, that's just sticking a knife in, man. Jesus. The thing about this movie is, it's a really nice idea, and I like the idea of a group of women coming together, almost like a Glow sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Well,
having
Glow's wonderful.
exactly, Glow is fantastic. But they don't really do anything with it. They don't actually use it terribly well. It's like there's a reveal in it. Should I? Fuck it, I'm going to spoil it. There's a reveal that is ridiculous. It turns out her mum made this fight club.
Okay. And
it's like, okay, so why was she never told? I mean, then they're like,
this does raise some
never...
questions.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like, her mother died of cancer, so she never, a couple of years back. And there's a weird, like, subplot with her dad, like he's moving on, but he's moved on in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, stereotypes were over the top there. But it's like, okay, so they explain, because this fight club, it's for a safe space. It's all secret, so she wasn't allowed to tell you about this fight club. It's like, surely you would tell your daughter, because she could probably use this thing as well. So that I thought was a really stupid plot point. I mean, okay, let's be serious here. If you watch the trailer, you're really not expecting a lot. I don't think you're just expecting a silly fighty comedy.
Yeah.
But the fights were so awful that it was like, oh come on! If you're having a movie about Fight Club, get some fucking women in that can fight. There are plenty of them out there. You're not, there are stunt teams. There are the female stunt teams that are fucking awesome. Why weren't they used? I mean, maybe there is a fight team used in this film, but it didn't look like it. The fights are so badly filmed. What I will say is there were some genuinely funny moments. And as I said, Ackerman's great. Baldwin's being Baldwin, and he's not in it. He's not in it a great deal. But this, some of the subcharacters, they have their moments. Bella Thorne is one of those actresses that she's one of those Disney kids. So I never really expect a lot from her anyway. Mm-hmm. She's okay on bitch duties. I've seen her do that sort of thing before in like The Duff and stuff like that. So she's okay. But it's as long as you go in and not expect a lot, and it does have its laughs, but it is pretty fucking bad. It was. I don't regret watching it. It's not that bad, but it's not a good movie.
Yeah, that's a shame. Well, I won't be watching Chick Fight.
Yeah, well, yeah. I honestly can't really.
I was only half tempted because of the name, because I was like, that's really poorly judged, or it's like sarcastic and funny. But yeah, I decided not to in the end. So,
I think kind of squanders its potential. I think it could have been something quite interesting and funny. I mean, if they'd have got, I mean, Glow is very good at serious, and those women fucking trained. Those women, they look like they can do what they're doing.
That's good.
They in Glow's great, and again, Glow's funny. It's
Glow's
really
hilarious. Yeah.
So they could have done,
and it's got real heart as well.
It really does. It's a, and again, that's another fucking series they cancelled, the bastards.
Yeah.
That really did need like one final season. I think they already started filming it.
They were even petitioning a while ago just to make a movie. They were like, let's make a one-off movie to end it.
Just finish it off, for God's sake.
For sure.
That there's so many things that they've cancelled that that they could at least give it a movie to finish it off. It would be great if they bloody did that, but I don't think they're going to.
No, I don't think so either. But yes, well, is there any news you want to cover?
We should mention Helen McCrory, who died aged 52. Who a stunning actress.
Yeah.
Really good playing terrible people.
Yeah, well, yes, yeah.
In Peaky Blinders and Harry Potter, and great, fantastic in season 2 of Penny Dreadful, which Penny Dreadful for me is one of those, is a series that started so well. I would recommend anybody watch the first season of Penny Dreadful. Yeah. Maybe not bother with the second and third one. Second one, maybe it ends badly, but the third one, just fucking forget the third season. That's awful. They absolutely squander season. That's season 3. But that's getting aside. She was great in the season 2. I know supports there. Adam Wingard is being approached to go back to the Monster Universe.
Yes, I hear.
And although there's nothing been finalised yet, rumour is he is going to be doing Son of Kong.
An interesting choice.
Yeah.
I like Son of Kong, the original.
How are we going to have a Son of Kong when he's the only one left?
Well,
I mean,
how did we have a Son of Kong the first time around? Much the same way, they'll just pull it out their ass.
I guess that is true.
Well, we did only just get to the Hollow Earth, so you could be like, there's another one there somewhere.
Maybe.
Whether it would, I would more see it as not the biological Son of Kong, but an adopted Son of Kong, where he's found a child, a Kong-like child, one of his race, whose mother, your father's died, and now he's the last with the son. I could see that working.
Well, I mean, whatever. I'm gonna bloody take my money anyway. You know what I mean? It's like Adam Wingard did a good job with the last one.
I think he did. Yeah, like we said, it's not a quote-unquote good movie, but it was damned fun.
It was bloody enjoyable as all hell.
And I think I would obviously like to see another Godzilla movie, which will happen, by the way. Toho very happy, so that's continuing. And I do wonder whether a lot of him saying, well, Son of Kong's my next plan, was him playing it safe because they could do Kong even if they didn't have the Toho stuff.
That's true.
Toho are on board now. I think Adam Wingard is probably better off doing Son of Kong or Kong, another Kong movie, because he did Kong great. I think his Kong scenes are fantastic, and I think if they do a Son of Kong movie and add Gia in it, if the actress isn't getting too old by the time they get around to making it,
I would love to see those characters get more to do.
Absolutely.
By all means, bring back those characters and do more of those. I actually genuinely would be happy to see more with those humans. Yes. It would be very rare, but for a monster movie.
Monster movie, yeah.
But I would love to see Gia.
I agree.
Amazing. I love that.
She was fantastic. So I'm all for that, and then give Godzilla to someone else.
Yeah.
Let the Kong movie happen entirely in the Hollow Earth, because I really like the look of the Hollow Earth. I want to explore it. I want to see more of it. Show me more.
Well, I mean, the thing is, he's also apparently working on a Thundercats movie and a Face Off sequel. So
Fucking hell.
He's a busy bunny, if that's the case.
How do you Face Off 2?
I don't know. We discussed this when I found out.
But then I forget. Then I forget that it's happening, and then suddenly I'm reminded.
Know why you would bother? Why it needs a sequel?
Face Off is the most perfect movie ever made anyway. Why would you make a sequel to Face Off?
Yeah.
It's like the best bad movie ever. It's the best shit movie ever made. It's fucking rubbish, but it's just somehow glorious.
Everything
they do everything
in that
wrong,
movie
but
screams this is a terrible movie and you shouldn't be watching it. But everything slots into place so well that they just
do
works.
Everything wrong, and yet it turns out right somehow. And I think a lot of that is down to the casting. I think that's it. God,
I don't
think you can make a sequel to Face Off. That's just not.
No,
it's not happening. But I'm all for Son of Kong or any more. I just want the MonsterVerse to continue.
Yeah, I do too.
In fact, I'd really like it if they did Son of Kong next, and then they had a gap between doing the next Godzilla movie, which would give Toho time to do a Japanese Godzilla movie. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Give them time to do
that'd be nice.
One.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how what the Japanese would do with now that they've got that. Are they going to do completely separate? Are they going to? I mean, I could presume they're not going to go back.
Separate, I'm sure.
I presume they're not going to go back to Shin.
I hope not. I really hope not. Shin feels like it needs to sit on its own. I don't know.
I think I'd rather we didn't have competing Godzilla movies.
I think they're separate enough that it doesn't matter. Personally,
I guess. I mean, the thing is, it's a little different with an animated movie, but
most people in the over here are not watching Japanese Godzilla movies. I think we're in probably the minority.
That's
I mean,
true.
I could be wrong. I could be profoundly ignorant in saying that. I'm in a lot of Godzilla groups, so a lot of people that I interact with watch those movies, but I don't think the wider audience do necessarily. But I don't know. Maybe they do. Either way, more Godzilla is good. But I would really like to see another Japanese Godzilla movie because they're very different.
Definitely.
But yeah, either way, Adam Wingard won me over with that movie. I hate his Death Note, but I very much enjoyed Godzilla.
Yeah, I remember you said his Death Note was terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's good.
So as another brief odd one, so Ben Wheatley, who his new movie In the Earth is coming out soon, which look, I love the trailer was really good. I like that. I'll watch anything Ben Wheatley does anyway. After doing the odd, what I thought was an odd choice for him doing the remake of Rebecca, it seems that he's been given the job of doing The Meg 2.
Okay.
Which I think, I mean, he could definitely do that. I'm not sure why he wants.
Is Jason Statham on board?
Yes.
Meg 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I mean,
we had a lot of fun watching that movie. Let's be honest.
It's a terrible movie, but it was really enjoyable.
I think it was mostly enjoyable just because it's honest with itself and it's not trying to be anything more than it is.
That's exactly what I loved about that movie.
So it's a B movie with a budget, and we're rolling with that. Fine. I had a great time.
Exactly. They knew exactly what they were doing with that movie, and they gave it. It was good, silly fun.
Yeah. I'm always up for watching Jason Statham trying to be a scientist. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious. Keep them coming. Why not?
That is good. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll watch anything Ben Wheatley does. But that again, I thought it was an odd choice. But hey, why the hell not?
Yeah.
That's kind of it. There's not really much going on at the moment.
Well, what are we right? So two things. Let me just look. Let me just look at the calendar.
Yep.
Come up calendar. Yes. So, what are we going to watch next week?
I haven't decided yet.
And
I've a couple of ideas. But
after that, the next movie we could watch together because people are allowed in people's houses from the 17th of May.
Oh wow!
So
Okay.
obviously the next week we'll have to do remotely, and then obviously we can
Yep.
keep doing these remotely if you want or not, is up to you. But we can actually start
Yep.
watching movies together every other week again.
Oh,
If you
wow.
want to, if you feel up to doing that, given what's going on. But
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes.
from the
yeah.
17th, that is a possibility. So it's a possibility.
God, do you mean I have to leave the house?
Well, you don't have to. We can keep. To be honest, I actually didn't think this was going to work to begin with.
Yeah.
But it kind of has. It kind of just all fell together in the end, and it's kind of become normal now. It's like that's fine. So no, you don't have to leave the house. We can just keep doing this remotely forever. But it is an option now. So
No,
if you
I
ever
think
feel
it is. I do miss the.
maybe every now and again we could do
Yeah.
we don't have to do it every week or anything, but every now and we can keep doing this remotely every week, and then every now and again we'll do an actual watch along again. Okay, I thought of a movie the other day and I've already forgotten what it is. There was
a shame.
something and I was like, oh, we could do that, and then I've completely forgotten what it is now, but never mind, we'll think of something. But
Yeah, we will.
thank you for listening, everybody, and until then, stay safe and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.